Hello and welcome back, everybody. I'm Jacob Van Lunen. I'm here with Marshall Sutcliffe, and we are watching round 13 here at Grand Prix Quebec City. Reed Duke mulliganing to 6 on the draw here, and Bradley Grant getting off to a super fast start with Experiment 1 on turn 1.
Wouldn't call that super fast. It's still just a 1-1.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself.
although looking forward, it can certainly get out of hand. Although I guess Reed Duke's also off to a super fast start. As
he's blazingly fast.
He's made up as well. Although his has a much different purpose. And see if this is going to be a Burning Tree Emissary. It is indeed. So that blazing fast start that you predicted is actually coming true quite quickly here.
Now I could use 2 adjectives, and it wouldn't even be. You know.
Whoa, look at that. Mog Flunkies is going to grow again the Experiment 1 to make it a 3-3, and it's going to threaten 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power attacking on turn 3.
This is scary.
This is scary if you're on Reed Duke's side. Now, Reed's going to have a nice mana advantage with that Arbor Elf. If he hits a land drop here, he's going to have access to 3. So he can certainly turn things around. But man, Burning Tree Emissary we have seen be absolutely massive this whole weekend.
It looks like Reed has Abrupt Decay. Hopefully he has Blackout, so there's some black mana to go along with it.
He's going to calmly pass the turn back. Now, if you do have Abrupt Decay, do you use it on the Flunkies?
I think so.
It looks like they're going to be attacking every turn for the rest of this game if possible. One strategy is to take out all the other creatures so that the Flunkies can't do anything, but that's so risky in a deck running this against a deck running this many creatures.
Yeah, and Experiment 1 also has the regeneration on it, so it's really hard for a deck like Jund to deal with that.
So he does, in fact, use Abrupt Decay on the Flunkies, but then 4 more power joins the board in the form of 2 Rakdos Cacklers. And Reed Duke is staring down 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 power now. So even after having used a spell to take out a 3 power guy, he's facing down even more than he was before. And he's already at 10.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
This is not how he wanted this game to go. I mean, he could always draw a Bonfire, but...
And Reed Duke is forced to drop down to 8 from an untapped Blood Crypt. He gets that life back immediately from the Huntmaster to the Fells, though, and now he actually has some blockers that can get in the way. Even then, though, he's still not in an amazing position here. Everybody's in there. Attack, 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 attack. So he is going to battle with his entire team, and it looks like Reed is going to trade off 2 for 2 here.
He doesn't really have much of a choice.
Nope. So he does get a 2 for 1 out of the deal, though. 2 creatures, 2 actual cards from Bradley's hand are going to trade off for 1 card from Reed's, but it does drop Reed down to 5. And we see that Bradley's running out of gas a little as it's just another Rakdos Cackler. This is a huge turn for Reed. What can he come up with here? Remember, he's mulliganed to 6, so he doesn't have quite as many resources to work with as you'd normally expect. He's not currently facing lethal damage, as he does have a block with Arbor Elf against Experiment 1. He would go to 1. So he may get another draw step even if he does nothing here, but things are looking really tight for Reed. He does not have any wiggle room here at all. See, he's got a Farseek in his hand. Pretty unexciting play for this turn if that's what his play is.
Ideally, he would like to have a Thragtusk in this spot, but it doesn't look like that's happening.
He would need land Thragtusk.
Yeah.
Yep. Reed's really carefully going over his options here. He knows that a misstep at this stage of the game is certain death, so he really needs to make sure that he plans this out accordingly. There's some cards that Bradley can have that Reed cannot play around, most likely. Cards like Searing Spear and such just mean that Reed's dead, so he's not going to worry about those. He's got Mizzium Mortars, and that is going to take out one of the Rakdos Cacklers. He's going to play a tapped Stomping Ground and pass the turn. So he is going to have to chump block this turn with his Arbor Elf if he doesn't have something like Searing Spear. Another Abrupt Decay, something like that. Block Experiment 1. Now is he going to tap it? Yes. He's got the 2 mana available, but they're going to go to damage, so he doesn't have the Searing Spear or the Abrupt Decay. He's just going to leave those 2 mana up as he drops down to 3 life.
On just 2 lands.
And Bradley just has a 2/2 for 2 to add to the board, but it's really important here as it's going to it means that a solitary creature from Reed isn't going to be enough. And I think that Reed, I can't quite see what he's drawing. He's keeping his cards pretty close, but it looks like he's going to pack it in, and he does indeed. Bradley Grant takes down game 1 in impressive fashion. I mean, he just ran him over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that start was unbelievable. Experiment 1, attacking for 3 on turn 2. 8 points of power on the table on turn 2.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're on the play.
It didn't look like much, but all of a sudden,
yeah, it turned
blazing
into something
star.
really, really nice.
Yeah.
At 18, his opponent is at 17. Alexander Hayne is near me.
Now looking at these 2 sideboards here. Reed Duke gets a Pillar of Flame, a couple of Tragic Slips, and it looks like that's his sideboard plan here. Maybe a Bonfire of the Damned.
All right, let's take a quick look at Tsuchin Kuo versus Alexander Hayne. Tsuchin Kuo is playing the combo deck that we've seen emerge here in this format. It's a human reanimator combo that eventually will mill its opponent out once it gets the combo online. The nice thing about the combo that it gets is that it doesn't need extra mana. It can infinitely loop its creatures to mill its opponents out using Undercity Informer, which is a card that you might not be familiar with, but it's a 2/3 for 2 and a black from Gatecrash. And it says you can pay 1 mana, sacrifice a creature to, this is a term that we use, grind target player. And grind means they reveal cards off the top of their library until they hit a land, and they mill all of those. They go into their graveyard. Rashad wants to call it deck damage.
So going infinite with that deck, the way one would do that would be by stacking Fiend Hunter triggers correctly with Burning Tree Emissary, and thus creating infinite mana, and then being able to sacrifice the creatures to the Undercity Informer to keep that loop going, and in the process, milling your opponent their entire library?
Sort of. The way it works is it uses Angel of Glory's Rise.
With the Fiend Hunter, right?
And it puts that under the Fiend Hunter, and then it sacrifices a Burning Tree Emissary to put that in the graveyard, and then it sacrifices a Fiend Hunter to put that in the graveyard, and that brings back the Angel of Glory's Rise, which then brings back the Emissary and the Fiend Hunter. The Fiend Hunter then recaptures the Angel, and 2 mana is added to the mana pool. This is a critical part from the Burning Tree Emissary, which then can be used by the Undercity Informer to repeat the process over and over again. It can be interrupted. You can kill the Fiend Hunter with this ability on the stack.
But even when it's interrupted, you still have a pretty impressive board after you've Angeled.
Yeah.
And your opponent had to have had mana untapped, and there's so many ifs.
There's a lot of ifs. So let's take a look at what Tsuchin Kuo is doing here. He's got a Grisly Salvage that's resolving, and he sees Faithless Looting, Undercity Informer, another Grisly Salvage, a land, and a Huntmaster of the Fells on his side, and he's deciding which one of the cards that he can take that he wants to. Looks like he's going to go for the land. No, put it back. Deep in the tank here, he's facing down a board of Augur of Bolas, Augur of Bolas, Augur of Bolas, and a Boros Reckoner. Only 4 lands for Alexander Hayne. We see that Tsuchin Kuo actually has 6 lands on the battlefield, and he could add another one if he hasn't played his land for the turn here. Kuo has a Fiend Hunter with a Restoration Angel under it. That's Alex's Restoration Angel. He's also got a 2/2 Wolf, a Huntmaster of the Fells, and a Burning Tree Emissary as well. So he's got quite a bit going on here. And it looks like he's going to go for the Undercity Informer.
I'll go first. Hey, good luck. Good luck.
And he's going to pass the turn back. I think we can jump back to our original match, as I heard Reed Duke say. Okay, we're going to wait and make sure that there's no mulligans first, but it looks like there's not.
Okay. Go.
So with that Cavern of Souls in play, I assume it's naming Angel. It may be naming Human, though.
He usually names Human, but against the big decks that actually have counters, it names Angel like every time.
Yeah, and then you can just get the Angel through no matter what.
That's right. All right, so Bradley Grant, he's got an Experiment 1 on his turn 1, but he's not on the play this time, so it's going to be a little bit slower
Yeah, it's
of an
fast.
experiment.
Not quite blazing.
That's right. Exactly. Reed Duke has a land from turn 1, and he's deciding what he wants to do with his turn 2. These are always critical decisions about playing lands tapped or not, because the shock lands, as we call them, the lands from Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash that can enter the battlefield untapped, cost you 2 life, and against a really aggressive deck like Bradley's, it's a big decision. Farseek for Reed Duke is going to get him 1 land drop ahead in the game here, but doesn't do anything this turn. So this could be a very big turn for Bradley if he can get off to some emissaries and stuff. But he doesn't. He just attacks for that. Does that mean he has just nothing else? Any creature in his deck would evolve that. So he just must have no other play here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just has like Drag Manglers and other pre-drops.
Yeah.
Some Searing Spears.
Reed Duke has to just be absolutely thrilled to see that, as he did spend his turn 2 doing not a whole lot with that, and he gets a turn 3 Huntmaster of the Fells now. He's going to go back up to 21, and he's in the driver's seat here. Let's see what Bradley comes up with.
Yeah, I mean, the last game when he played a Huntmaster of the Fells, he had already lost half his life total, and he was facing down well over like creatures, 10 points of power. This game looks like it's definitely Reed's game to lose at this point.
Searing Spear, target the Huntmaster of the Fells, play a tapped land again. No attacks, because he can't, and ship the turn back to Reed.
It's 21-18, right? Yep.
Players confirming life totals: 21 Reed Duke, 18 for Bradley Grant. Reed's got a grip of cards, 4 lands. Another Huntmaster? No, Olivia Voldaren, which is going to absolutely decimate this board if Bradley can't find an answer to it. He has a 1-turn window to hit it with a Searing Spear. Otherwise, he needs a Dreadbore. There is a Searing Spear. He does it right now. He's got to do it on his turn. He can't let Reed Duke even untap. And he doesn't. Redraws his card for the turn and surveys the scene here. He's content to just leave that wolf back. He doesn't see any need to attack. 4 mana for a second Olivia Voldaren, and he is immediately going to shoot Experiment 1 and get in there for 2, and it looks like Reed Duke is in a commanding position here.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a Game 3 in this match. Of course, a Game 3 means that Bradley Grant is going to be on the play again, and we've already seen what his deck is capable of doing on the play.
Yep. All right, well, Olivia Voldaren's trade off, and that's going to leave Reed with just that wolf token. So I guess if Reed has nothing else in hand, then Bradley can definitely get back in this. Oh, there's a Kessig Wolf Run, though, which is going to make that wolf a beater. It's going to get in there for 6 after the full pump from Kessig Wolf Run. So Reed doesn't seem to have anything else to add to the board, and he's just going to concentrate on the beatdown plan. Right now, Bradley's already down to 10. Reed sitting very comfortable at 21 life. Bradley's deck is not designed to come back from this point and put in 21 points of damage from this far behind. So things are looking pretty good for Reed.
Bradley was pretty lucky to have the Searing Spear and the Olivia. If Olivia stays on Reed's side of the board, if he's able to untap with it, he almost assuredly wins.
All right, a Ghor-Clan Rampager for Bradley Grant is going to be a decent body. It's going to trade off for that wolf if Reed wants to do that. Let's see what he's drawn. Oh, he pauses here. Is this Bonfire of the Damned? He could hit him for 6, wipe out that Ghor-Clan Rampager, and get in for another 2, which would put Bradley all the way down to 2 if it were Bonfire here.
In the Sunday Super Series seal.
Seems pretty good.
Round 3 have been posted. Please find your seats.
No, he's going to draw the card, so it doesn't look like it was Bonfire. Can't see what it is. It's a little bit off camera. There's a forest, and he just says, well, I'm going to trade this thing off. So he does pump it for the full amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, so it's 7. So he's going to be taking 3 and losing his creature here. It's going to drop Bradley down to 7. And Reed just passes the turn. So I'm not sure what that huge pause was on the potential Bonfire there, but must have been something else. Either that or Reed was just thinking about what he wanted to do during the turn. Drag Mangler, wow, and Falconwrath Aristocrat. So actually a huge turn here for Bradley Grant as he plays 2 of his strongest cards, and both of them having haste means that Reed is all of a sudden down to 14 and on a 2-turn clock. So if Reed is actually out of gas in hand, which we had some indications of before, Jake, he could be up against it here.
Yeah, I mean, out of nowhere, Bradley Grant just made a board presence that was really strong against Reed. Both Dragmangler and Aristocrat are both going to be extremely hard cards for him to deal with.
All right, Huntmaster of the Fells for Reed Duke, though, is going to help out quite a bit, although that Falconwrath Aristocrat can still get in freely. Is there another Dragmangler in his yard? I saw him kind of thumb through the graveyard. I don't think there is, though. He can attack with both, but remember, Bradley Grant is sitting on 5. If he does not cast a spell this turn, that Huntmaster of the Fells is going to transform. It's going to do 2 damage to Bradley, bring him down to 3, and it's going to become a 4/4 trample with its wolf friend. So he's got to be really careful if he hasn't drawn an actual spell this turn to make sure that he keeps all of that in mind, that basically that he's virtually at 3 life.
There are a lot of cards that win this game for both players now.
It's like he wants to keep attacking, but Reed is at 16 here. Bradley is in a particularly bad situation, as if that Huntmaster does transform into a Ravager, it's also going to do 2 damage to the Falconwrath Aristocrat, which is going to force Bradley to either just let it die. He doesn't have a spell. So basically Bradley was just staring at that board trying to figure out what happens if I don't play a spell this turn, because he didn't have one. And the answer was, well, I die.
He just wanted to figure out if there was any possible way to win, going through all the iterations.
Because what happens is that Ravager does 2 damage to the Falconwrath Aristocrat, which forces Bradley to either just let it die or trade. And if he lets it die, then he's facing down a 4/4 trample and a 2/2, and he's at 3. And he only has a 3 toughness blocker, so he would be dead to the attack. If he decides to save his guy, then he can have an indestructible Falconwrath Aristocrat, which is normally really sweet, except for that it's only got 1 toughness still, and he would be dead because of trample damage. So players are going to dive back into their sideboards here and try to find an answer. And what's really a Jund mirror, it's just not the same deck. Both decks are taking a significantly different approach to the game. So, you know, one of them is trying to be very proactive and kill you as quickly as humanly possible, and it seems quite adept at doing just that. Reed's deck, on the other hand, plays much bigger spells.
Yeah, post-board, Reed is going to get a Bonfire of the Damned, a Pillar of Flame, pair of Tragic Slips. Pretty much it for this matchup. Post-board, Bradley's going to pick up some Domri Raids, maybe some Duresses, and very possibly Vampire Nighthawk, or even Wolfear Silverheart.
Wolfear Silverheart's an interesting one.
It's not very bad right now. I mean,
yeah.
The blue-white-red decks seem to be waning in popularity. There aren't many Azorius Charms. The less spot removal play that's not burn, the better that card's going to get. Just the fact that you get an 8/8 for 5 mana and get four of it as hasty damage.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive.
I mean, it plays around things like Dreadbore, can't be killed by Mizzium Mortars. Watch your feet. So who do you like in this matchup, Jake?
I like Reed. Going into game 3, it's a little rough because Bradley is on the play, and you really just can never count out these aggressive decks in the new standard format when they're on the play.
Yeah,
a turn 1 experiment 1
this
into 2 guys on turn 2, or into a guy on turn 2 into a Dragmangler. That's probably going to be enough to beat Reed. So it's not a perfect world where one deck always beats the other deck, and if it was, then the game wouldn't be very fun.
That's right. Yeah. Reed is going to have to be, he's going to have to make sure that the hand that he keeps can beat turn 1, experiment 1, turn 2, emissary into another creature. Like if he has no game versus that, then it's going to be an easy mulligan for him. You know, he does have some pretty clunky stuff in the deck. I don't know what he's kept in and what he hasn't, but things like Rakdos' Return and even like Garruk Primal Hunter are pretty slow when your opponent is doing severe beatdowns.
We go first.
Looks like Reed Duke's going to keep, and it's Bradley Grant's turn to ship the hand back.
Certainly a good sign for Reed. He's sitting at 11-1, and you know, we're getting down to the stretch here pretty quickly. Actually, like it's coming upon us fast. Where if Reed picks up a win here and stays to 12-1, he could start at least looking at the standings and thinking about drawing in.
He can probably, if he wins this round, if he puts himself at 12-1, I think he can just double draw.
Yeah.
The looks of it. I was talking to a few different people before this round. A friend of mine who was X2 coming into this round, he said, "Oh, all I have to do is win 2 more, and then I can draw." So.
All right, let's see if Bradley is able to
overcome.
Find it. Well, he's got to find a strong opener here to try to put a lot of pressure on Reed as fast as humanly possible.
I mean, he saw what his game 1 hand did, and his game 2 hand wasn't quite as aggressive, and that really let Reed just take over the game as it progressed. No 1-drop again.
So this is a key turn here. Is it an emissary into like? No, it's just a Flinthoof Boar, and we're going to take a special note here that is not a mountain. So that Flinthoof Boar is only a 2/2.
Yeah, Rootbound Crag, not a mountain.
Not a mountain, so that means
yeah.
that the Flinthoof Boar is only a 2/2 as it stands, and sometimes that gets overlooked. A lot of people that when you play these creatures, they get these inherent pumps based on lands like Wild Nacatl and this Flinthoof Boar. It's easy to forget. So this is actually 2, so 18.
You can actually steal some games that way sometimes. I had a few games where I had Wild Nacatl in play, and my opponent had a 2/2 that could trade, but they weren't necessarily sure that it wasn't a 3/3. So sometimes you just got to attack, bluff in for a couple points of damage. It might win you the game.
Actually, that is a good point. That is. I mean, people do assume it a lot. Now, when it comes to actually telling them what their life total is, then you can't. So that only works once.
You got to be honest.
Yes, but all right. So a second Farseek here for Reed Duke means that he's going to be way ahead on mana, and he's going to be able to do much more powerful things than Bradley in the coming turns, facing down a mere, I mean, really a limited, you know, early pick here is
Reed
got to be great for Reed.
Solidly in the driver's seat.
He is. Now, we don't know what he has in his hand. I mean, his best play this turn.
Bonfire and a Garruk Primal Hunter.
Okay, now we know what he has in his hand. So,
I mean, with those 2 cards alone, I don't even think he needs anything else. If Bradley plays a guy here, even if Bradley has something that creates quite a board presence, the only thing Bradley could really do that would bother Reed at this point is Falkenrath Aristocrat.
right.
So, let's see. Does he have Falkenrath Aristocrat?
Does he have a 4th land?
That's the first step to having a Falkenrath Aristocrat. Right now he has a 2/2 Boar.
And Bradley looks like he's thinking really hard about what he wants to do here. Reed does have 2 mana open. He's representing Abrupt Decay and Searing Spear. All right, there's an Experiment 1, but man, a turn 4, turn 5 Experiment 1, it just is not that impressive. Now that is a 3/3 now. You see him definitely play that Stomping Ground pre-combat, and that is going to get in for 3 now. Reed says, sure. So Reed drops down to 15. And this is going to be a big one here.
I think Reed is probably just going to Bonfire for 3. Oh, no.
It's only for 2.
It'll only be for 2, so
So
turn
Thragtusk
out.
seems
Oh.
like a reasonable alternative. Man, so just another great card for Reed Duke, right back up to 20. We do see that he misses his land drop here, but his plan is clearly to prevent attacks here with Thragtusk and then untap, play Garruk Primal Hunter, and he can just minus it and draw 5, and that seems pretty good. It plays around Falconwrath Aristocrat as well.
Drawing 5 cards is something that I never want to see Reed Duke do.
Yeah, you figure he's going to find the best way to use those 5 cards possible. And he's already got, I think, 3 or 4 in hand still. So right now Bradley is thinking about, well, do I want to make this trade? And probably for the reasons that we were saying. And Reed does, in fact, do that. So he's going to have a 3-3.
Yeah, I think any chance that Reed has to make a trade that prevents him from losing life, he has to take it in this matchup.
Okay.
I mean, the cards like Thragtusk, cards like Garruk, these things that just make a lot of stuff from one card.
Yeah.
That's how you win. You're not going to win
Right.
by. Yeah, now he gets another 3-3.
And he's going to make another 3-3. And now he knows that Bradley does not have Falconwrath Aristocrat because look at Bradley's mana. He didn't play anything. He would have played it that turn. It's not like he can sit there and wait just to try to get Garruk. So, all right, so he's going to Syrian Spear Garruk. That's not going to kill him, though. That's only going to bring him down to 1. So what's his follow-up play here?
There's
Or is he just
any
keep-
number of things.
Does he actually have a Falconwrath Aristocrat here? Oh, he's got an Olivia Voldaren. Okay, so what he's doing is he's keeping Reed Duke from minusing Garruk on his turn and grabbing and drawing 3 cards, and he's setting up a situation where Reed's going to get 1 more beast out of the deal, and then Olivia can get in there. Now it looks like Bradley's thinking about using Olivia on his main phase. He's going to ping a beast. That's going to turn it into a vampire, and it's going to play around Syrian Spear because now he has a 4/4 Olivia, and what that means is that Bradley can't say activate Olivia, and then Reed Duke says kill Olivia with Syrian Spear. So now he's got a good blocker, and he doesn't get blown out. So
Really nice play by Bradley there, too, because having the 4/4 Olivia, really the reason he used the Searing Spear on the Garruk is now, so Reed can't use the Garruk to draw cards, but also the 3/3s that Reed has, they're pretty much blanked because he has a 4/4 now.
I noticed one card on Reed's side of the battlefield, though. He's got a Kessig Wolfron.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference, but it does tie up Reed's mana.
It does, and it's certainly better than activating the ability on Reed's turn and getting hit by Syrian Spear. Okay, yeah, 2 attacks from Reed Duke. He says, look, man, I've got a Kessig Wolfron. You're not blocking. And sure enough, he doesn't. Another beast is going to join the fray here. But Olivia looks like she might get to untap here. And if she does, there is, one of those beasts, one of those Owen token beasts is a vampire beast. And it can be stolen at any time that Bradley wants to spend 3 plus 2 black mana. So 5 mana, steal a guy is pretty sweet here. An Arbor Elf. And a Huntmaster of the Fells. So Reed is just going into, all right, I'm just going to overwhelm the board with creatures and just try to get so many that I can overpower Olivia Voldaren, although that's really, really hard to do.
It's leaving an Olivia on the table when you're playing creatures. That's...
I mean, obviously Reed didn't have a choice here.
Oh, I know. I mean, if he had a removal spell, he would have used it in a heartbeat.
Right. But this is an interesting situation because now Reed does have Kessig Wolfrun, and that can be his plan, as he can just jam all of his dudes. He's going to have one stolen. It's going to be able to block, and that's not a long-term plan. But Bradley's at 14, and if Reed can just keep using that Kessig Wolfrun to push through damage, he might be able to take care of it here. Also, Bradley's in a weird situation because he really does want to take out Garruk and stop this steady stream of beasts, but attacking with Olivia Voldaren means that that's one less blocker he has on his side. The question is, would he block with Olivia anyway, given the Kessig Wolfrun that we see?
And I don't think he would.
Okay.
It's
and he apparently agrees because he just attacked Garruk and took it down.
Then again, I mean, it could be a 7/7.
Uh-huh.
And is that out of range for... Yeah, so Reed couldn't kill it by pumping a wolf. Or by pumping a beast, rather.
Right. That's true. 4, 5, 6, 7. That's true.
So it would be just out of range. However, Reed could have any number of things, including a land.
That's true. But and one thing to remember here is that that entails him using the ping ability 3 times and not the steal ability. So it depends on what Bradley Grant's idea is, and he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill your Huntmaster of the Fells by pinging it twice, and he's going to leave up 2 mana as well. So he could potentially untap here with 2 of Reed's creatures being turned. Ooh, there's a tragic slip, though, to take down Olivia. Huge play for Reed Duke. He needed something to die that turn that was a creature, and Bradley granted that wish as he didn't want to ship the turn and have that Huntmaster of the Fells turn into a Ravager of the Fells. So Reed is in a great spot now, right? He can just jam his whole team.
He's still sitting on that bonfire, too, now that he can cast that for 3 when he needs to. He can just keep turning all of his creatures sideways. He's at 22. He has this beautiful life cushion. Things look really good for Reed right now.
Custom-made life cushion.
Oh, it's so comfy.
By Reed Duke's grandma. It's like
you
it's got his
snuggle
name
on it with your puppy.
Crocheted into it. All right, so trade a wolf for an experiment 1. Take $1 million. It's going to drop Bradley down to 5, I believe. And it's going to set Reed Duke up to win the next turn. But first, he has something else to say. Is it another Garruk?
It looks like it is.
Man, another Garruk Primal Hunter. He's just going to make another beast. And he's applying so much pressure that it feels like Reed Duke just has an overwhelming board state. Bradley draws his card for the turn. Does he have anything to help get him back? Nope. He extends the hand. And Reed Duke
never
is
even
going to
had to
advance
cast
to
the bonfire.
12-1. Nope. So it looks like we're going to get a chance to pop over to Su-Ching Kuo versus Alexander Hayne. 2 friends and testing partners. Let's take a look at the board state here, Jake, and see what we're looking at.
So it looks like Alexander Hayne using that Snapcaster Mage to flashback Izzet Charm. But Su-Ching Kuo has Restoration Angel to blank out that Thragtusk. And that's one of the dirtiest things you can do in Standard right now. For those of you who don't play a lot of Standard, Thragtusk, when it enters the battlefield, you gain 5. When it leaves, you get a 3/3. So when you blink it with a Restoration Angel, you're just getting tons of value.
Yeah.
It's just absurd.
5 life and an extra 3/3 is insane. It also untaps it if you happen to be in combat.
It's also a 3/4 flyer, which is so good.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that we're seeing here, by the way, is that Su-Ching Kuo has gone to plan B. So normally this deck is a combo human reanimator that's looking to mill out their opponent, but in the sideboard they have an interesting sideboard plan that they can change into just a creature-based mid-range deck that has the cards you see on the table. He seems to have drawn a lot of his sideboard cards here. Restoration Angel, Thragtusk, and Centaur Healers, which can all get in and just create an entirely different set of threats. Basically just resilient, high-value creatures that are going to come in and deliver some pretty serious beatdowns, as opposed to the much more tricky route of using basically draft commons to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, so the general idea behind the Human Reanimator deck is you have this extremely powerful endgame, late mid-game play that just makes your deck unbeatable for the more controlling and more mid-rangey decks. Against the aggressive decks, they can just run you over. They can kill you before you ever have an opportunity to do that.
Right.
But post-board, if you just make your deck a pile of Centaur Healers and Thragtusks and Spot Removal and Restoration Angels, the aggro decks aren't going to stand a chance against you.
Right.
They can't beat all these Centaur Healers and Thragtusks. So
and the best
you just
part
have
about
both
it
those
is
options available to you, and it's so strong.
They'll bring in like Rest in Peace.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, sure. You know, they'll bring in different ways to try to interact with your combo that you just don't care about anymore.
Now, Alexander Hayne's deck, though, is kind of in a weird spot between those aggressive decks that the sideboard works against and those mid-rangey control decks that the main deck is so strong against.
That's
and
right.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad matchup for Su-Ching Kuo, but it's definitely hard to sideboard for.
Right, and you see that Alex has also taken a somewhat transformative board here. He's got Geist of St. Trafton out of the sideboard, so he's looked to be a lot more assertive as well. And that's potentially, oh, here's an Angel of Glory's Rise that's going to get back. A Burning Tree Emissary and a Fiend Hunter, although he doesn't have the last piece of the combo, which is an Undercity Informer. He will be able to just use his Fiend Hunter for value. It's just going to take out a Restoration Angel here. Easy. He
Still
has
a pretty
2 mana
good
floating.
turn.
Yeah, still a sweet turn. He's got 2 mana floating. Who knows if he has anything to do with it? Probably not, but he's just like working out some math here. And sure enough, just battles with everybody. Alexander Hayne is sitting at 11. He doesn't have 2 particularly good blockers on the table either. You never want to throw that Geist to St. Traft just as a chump block. But Su-Ching Quo's at 16. He is not in dire. He's not in a dire situation at all, and he's attacking for 5, 8, 11, 14. So more than lethal here. So at least Snapcaster is going to have to jump in front of Thragtusk. Now Alex can survive. He also has 2 mana up, so there could be a few different things. Azorius Charm is one. Izzet Charm is another. Syrian Spear. And Alex is deep in the tank here on this attack step because he's got to figure out if there's even a way for him to win. I mean, something with a Boros Charm could get there, double striking an Angel or whatever on his attack. But for now,
I think Alex may be on the ropes, about to lose. The body language kind of.
you kind of get that. Well, and also the board state.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he has 2 mana open. He's the blue-red-white deck.
Here it
There's a lot
is.
that can happen.
All right, Snapcaster Mage, just to double block or maybe block 2 things. All right, 2 blocks there. And he's going to take 9 damage. It's going to drop him down to 2. He's going to lose both of those. And, of course, there's going to be a Beast token left over for Quo. And Hayne is going to have to wrath the board here. He's going to have to find something. He does not.
No.
And Su-Ching Quo is going to advance to 12-1, looking to put himself in a position to top 8 this Grand Prix.